Welcome to our next lecture in a series on task automation using Python. So today we will look at a general use case when we try to automate a desktop GUI or graphical user interface using a specific library, in this case PyAutoGUI, and we will be controlling mouse, keyboard and Windows in general. So this will be a very general approach, and we will see that this is probably your last stand. This is something you should do when you don't really have any other way of working with your applications. So again, there are other better ways, which some of them we have discussed already, some of them we will still discuss, but this is sort of your last stand, your last resort basically. So let's get started, and we'll see where it is good at and where it's not so good. So again, I'll be using a Jupyter notebook to show these examples. Actually, again, I should mention this is probably, you should see these code examples we discussed today and use them as standalone Python scripts, meaning .py scripts. Not Jupyter is probably better for teaching and showing small examples, not as a full automation for this type of task, meaning because there are some limitations for the Jupyter notebooks as far as automation goes in this specific context. Okay, so what is the big idea? The big idea is that we are basically going to pretend to be a user. We are going to pretend to be sort of a human being, but instead of a human being doing the work, actually the computer or script or code will be doing the interactions, meaning controlling mouse and keyboard. Those are, of course, are the main ways of interacting with a normal desktop or laptop or any type of computing device. Right. So that is a big idea right now. So we saw previously, for example, we could do some things if you're dealing with web content. We could read the content using Beautiful Soup, static content, and then we saw in a previous lecture how we can automate tasks using Selenium. So if you're dealing with one specific browser, maybe a couple different browsers, you should stick with Selenium. Again, because why? It will have specific APIs and you will have more fine-grained control. So this again, this general automation is basically for gluing the parts together when you don't really have a really good way of working. So this is maybe for you have a legacy application, maybe you have some enterprise application. It's basically a big black box. You don't really have access to it, only as a user, and you want to make things easier for yourself, right? Maybe you want to copy, paste some information probably between a different application, and you don't have anything else. Maybe you want to move a mouse automatically, something like that. So that is basically when you would use this today's lecture, information from today's lecture. So again, it makes sense. There's no API, meaning there's no specific library, no specific access. Again, also importantly, there should be a stable UI, meaning it's not you have specific window locations. Things are more or less stable. You have something highly dynamic, such as maybe some side-scrolling game, for example, or 2D game. This will be extremely challenging. I mean, it's theoretically could be done, but this would be probably not what you want to do. Right now, I've seen students of mine who actually automate some games, some simple click on sort of like a click games. Yes, if you have stable UI, you can do it, of course, right now. So again, it is a question of time. Are you going to save time? Or again, if it's something you have to do over and over every day, then this makes sense. You have to do alt tab something. Again, it might make sense because you will save time. So again, you're going to be automating the boring stuff, right? So, and of course, it might be more fun to make it. That's another consideration. Is maybe it's more fun to make automation. Maybe you spend 10 hours automating something, which you maybe spend 8 hours doing something really, really boring. That's another consideration, of course. Now, so how does it actually work right now? So, idea is you have to analyze what you are doing manually, or you or your colleagues or your friends doing it, and then you have to break it down into deterministic steps. And what do I mean by deterministic step? Meaning it's something you can say, okay, this is exactly how it should be working. There's no as little as possible random element involved. It's always move to the left top left corner, maybe press Ctrl C, Ctrl V, Ctrl Z. There are specific actions you can take. If there are elements of chance, then things become more complex, of course. You do have tools to identify. We have if statements, we have loops, we have ways of adding some logic. But the more logic you add to your automation workflow for this general workflow, the more difficult things will get. So this is always a trade-off right now. So this general automation, it's possible, but again, you will be running into so-called edge cases when something can break. Again, and these are usually cases where there's some screen size not quite right. Maybe there's some maybe you have to press sometimes one, maybe sometimes two, of course, right now. So one of the things I would want you to take away from today's lecture is that adding in these type of workflows, adding delays, just hard delays, maybe some deterministic delays, might be very, very helpful. Meaning again, things don't happen immediately, even on computer, right? It takes milliseconds, maybe seconds sometimes to accomplish some task, maybe sometimes minutes. Again, we have Python offers us simple delay-based tools which we can use to increase the robustness of our application. So that's a basic overview of what we are doing. So see how a human does it right now and try to break it down, what are the steps, and then identify what's stable. Is maybe always do Alt Tab, maybe you always go to the top left corner with your mouse, something like that. Again, so, and also maybe what happens if things don't work out, can you recover? All right, so it is extremely fragile, and also, for example, one of the typical things which cause problems is DPI scaling right now. If you have different type of screens, maybe you are 125% or 150% size screen right now, that might matter. And of course, timing. Maybe doing things too quickly here might be rushing things, might be causing some fails basically. So those are the general ideas. So let's talk about some libraries we can use. So Python offers us a pretty wide variety of libraries. We will concentrate in today's lecture on the sort of say the easiest one to use, which is also the good news for you, those who are on actually using Mac and also possibly Linux. You can also use this library because it is general. So that's also part of the reason why I chose to talk about this library. So let's talk about what it looks like. So PyPy right now. So pip install PyAutoGUI, graphical user interface right now. So again, for Windows, MacOS, and Linux. But there is some bad news about this library. Well, there's the good news is it is developed by Al Schweigart, extremely great teacher. He has some great books on different topics. Unfortunately, he's a busy guy and looks like there are no other maintainers. So this means this library, he developed it last version. Technically, it's 3.11, technically, right now. And I also look at the date. 2023. So at the time of writing 2.5 years ago, probably possibly by the time you watch this video, it will be maybe 3 years. But so you should see, maybe he updates something. So this means, of course, it's this type of automation. Sometimes things, break. Of course, there's some bugs. So it's not actively maintained. So that's a minus, of course. But again, he's a very solid developer. So in that regard, it's good. So there are some other options. But from what I've tested, it still works quite well, and it's expected to work because for a while, mostly for the next 5-10 years, you never know if it's well developed and if the tasks are general enough, the library can be stable. So, and hopefully maybe somebody will take over, maybe one of you in the future, who knows, and we'll be able to help him on this task. Okay, so now. So installation will be pip install, as you can see, pip install PyAutoGUI. Right now, copy it clipboard, and of course, I've already done it in my virtual environment, and I'm using 3.12 Python for this task. Again, since everything works so well, it's Python 3.12. It might work very well on 3.13 or even 3.14 or even in the future 3.15. But for now, I'm sticking with stable 3.12. Again, officially, it's only up to 3.11. So again, that's another consideration. There's pretty nice documentation, decent right now. So it's easy. So again, reason why I chose this library, it's easy to use. You will see it's very simple. Good cross-platform support and good for these simple tasks. Again, the minus is the same, but it's also a pro. It's limited to some basic tasks, and it's also not actively maintained. So there's some nice automation. There's some alternatives, but they each come with their own pros and cons, meaning some are more advanced, but for example, PyWin Auto, which I also have used before, it is only for Windows, meaning Microsoft Windows, of course. And also there are things, also some things may not work as well. There's also some bindings to a very popular automation library called AutoHotkey, meaning you actually using Python to control another automation program, which is not Python, and then and which does actually all the heavy lifting. Why would you want to do this? Because if you ever use a program like AutoHotkey, well, it's written in some weird non-standard language. It's kind of like BASIC, which is another language, but it has its own syntax. So meaning it's not very, I would say, not very productive task to learn just that language. If you learn this language, it's not really usable anywhere else. Python, we are learning Python, and it is usable pretty much for any task right now. So there's another thing we can do is for higher level access, for meaning more advanced access, actually it's technically lower level access, we can access the Windows API, meaning actual Windows API directly on this PyWin32. This is the raw power, but again, of course, this becomes quite technically challenging, not appropriate for this course. There's some other ones which also another thing. Java, which is a different language, but you can, again, Python is great for being a glue language, and you can access it through Python. And there, of course, the golden standard would be to actually use API for specific application. For example, Excel actually does have pretty good Python support, actually. Right now, I'm not sure about Word. We have to do some more research on Word, but of course, for example, Blender has amazing, Blender is a animation software famous for, of course, animating the famous movie Flow. Of course, Latvian movie animated has great Python support. Of course, it's meant for because actually Python is used there, has first class support. So that might be something you may want to consider. Okay, so but let's stick with today's lecture is about PyAutoGUI, and we would basically install it. So first, of course, first cell, this is not required. This is just we're going to say where we are today. So let's check, okay, Python 3.12, my particular version, you probably have a later one, on date, today's date, and of course also notice this second part, Python executable. So this is something like sort of like another soundness check or sanity check. We are checking which Python we are using. So I'm not using Python installed in my general disk, but I'm using the Python which I installed as part of my virtual environment, right? And specifically, I have two different virtual environments. I'm using the 3.12 environment, and that's the one I'm running. So that's good to know. Again, reminder that you can use it, select your environment here with the left click here. Right now, you would select a particular Python you would be using. So that's good. Also note how I have it here activated. Again, how did I activate it? Reminder, it is when 3.12 scripts activate PS1 on Windows right now. I'm not going to run it because it's already active. I will have to deactivate first. So that would be, again, as part of virtual environment. Again, theoretically, you could install everything globally, meaning on your computer, but that might lead possibly with some library, maybe some conflicts. So I recommend virtual environments. Again, we talked about this before. And again, this is one of the recommended workflows. Of course, there's other virtual environment options. So let's assume we have installed it, but let's double check. So let's double check. So we can use try except block, and we are gonna try importing PyAutoGUI. And if we succeed, we will print the version right now. So this error occurs only when we fail to import something in this example. Yeah. So import error is a specific type of error. So this is sort of we make our code more robust. Again, if you are 100% sure, of course you could just import if you know you already did it. So this is basically just a double check. And let's take a look. I am using indeed the 0.0954, which we check. Alt tab. Alt tab will be important today's lecture. 0.94. Okay, yeah, so this is actually the latest and greatest. Okay, now we are free to proceed and we can do. So there looks some concepts. Basically, it does have a fail-safe. If you want, if you have running some complicated, start running something complicated, you have a fail-safe option. It's built in automated by default, but you can turn it off if you want. You can move mouse to a corner to abort your script. That's kind of interesting, cool thing. So it's basically going to stop right now. So you start top left. So and you have the commands basically to do what? Again, we can check our documentation. Let's check our documentation. What is possible and what's not possible right now. So full documentation. These links are actually in our notebook. By the way, at the end of the link. So I'm just going to quickly go through. So you have a cheat sheet. We'll do, again, since we are in a hurry, cheat sheet. You can see we have position, size on screen, where we are. We have some file saves. We can also add them pauses. We have mouse functions, clicking, moving right now, and we have keyboard press functions. So those are main thing. We can also do a message box right now, which we won't talk today too much about that. And of course, we can do screenshots. So those are all of our main things, and that's basically actually it right now. Again, it's a very simple library, and again, but you can accomplish so much with it, especially when you combine it with some other libraries which we know. So let's start with the basics. So I already imported, so I don't need to do this. I already did it. So these are not needed. So a comment. It will not break if I do it again. So this we would need this import if we did not. If you run this as a standalone script, but in our case we already imported. Yeah, in above cell. In above cell, right? So again, nothing bad will happen if you import again, but of course it's we learn to we learn quickly that you don't want to do unnecessary work. Again, for some more complex libraries, this can take a while, maybe half a minute to import something right now, but here of course it's not really that crucial. So screen size and where we are. So my mouse is here right now. So let me run it. My mouse is here. Let's run it. And let's take a look. Yeah, so first of all, notice about my screen. So I have this particular laptop. It actually has a 4K screen, so I'm getting the full width and full height. So this is 3084, which matches, of course, the technical specification of the laptop. Right now, on the point, yeah, the 784/94. Look what happens if I go up, right? If I run it from here, what do you expect? Well, we expect the Y will be smaller, right? Because we are closer to the top. X will be very similar, right? Let's do it. Because it's a very, I did not change this X direction. So let's try this again. You see, indeed, X changed only a few pixels because of course I'm not pixel perfect right now. I'm not a robot, but Y changed, the Y value changed. So again, if I move it again, let's go more up, like here. Again, Y will be even smaller. And indeed, oh, I hit 784 again, but Y decreased. Okay, so now you see the idea. Again, of course, if I have my mouse somewhere here, that's fine. But remember what I can do, right? I'm in this active cell, and I have mouse somewhere here. Doesn't matter, right? And I do Control Enter. Control Enter, and notice I got my particular location where my mouse is here. So again, one of the key ideas in this type of application when you're running this type of script is that you can use keyboard interactions along with the mouse. Right? So maybe one another. So let's move a mouse somewhere right now. So where do we want to move it? Let's move it here right now. You see if I move it here, notifications, and I want to click it. If I click it, I see something. I'm not using notifications, but let's see what it looks like. I have no new notifications. So this is our box will be here. So let's do that. My mouse somewhere here. I'll click it here, and also notice something interesting here. What I'm gonna do? Duration. So this makes your makes the movement actually smooth. Instead of just moving mouse immediately, it will flow. It will slide to that direction. So note if you are running this on the on a HD screens, you have to divide these coordinates by half right now. You know, it'd be like 18 something, 1875 and 1050 right now on a smaller screen. And of course, if you have smaller screens, again, you have to check what the instructions here is. So by the way, how do I get this instruction? Let's do this. How do I get this here? I did this, by the way. How do I find this? Maybe you might be asking. How do I know how to move? Well, I put the mouse here. I'm here right now, and I'm just gonna cheat, but not cheat, but move it here and Control Enter. Right now, I see roughly. That's how I got it. You see, I got the instructions. I just maybe rounded them up, and I see, okay, yeah, that's about good place. So let's do it. I'm gonna sleep for a bit. So wait 2 seconds. Yeah. First, again, not required here. Not required here, but yeah. So oftentimes, so this is one of the things. The sleeping, meaning actually not doing anything for a while, might be good. So because maybe something else is happening in your program, and maybe things are not ready yet. So let's do it. And maybe we can wait a little bit, but let's wait for now. So let's print. I should be, yeah. Wait, time sleep, maybe, I don't know, 3 seconds right now on clicking. Yeah, okay. So extremely simple, but quite powerful. So let's do this. I'm running Excel right now. You see how it moves on, wait 3 more seconds, and it should click. And it did indeed click my notification screen. Nice. So of course, and then of course I could continue this. So that's the basic idea of a script, right? Okay, keep doing these instructions, what we want to do right now. So that's the basic idea. You just need to know what you want to do. And of course, so clicking now. So, well, basically we could be finished by now already, but of course there are things we want to actually probably do more, and we will see what are kind of typical challenges we encounter with this type of work right now. So, now, so keyboard input, we can use PyAutoGUI write function, and also there's a hotkey function to simulate key combinations, meaning Control-C, Control-Alt-Tab, Control-Shift-Delete if you want to restart your computer. It's possible, yeah. So let's look at some examples which involve keyboard input. So very simple stuff. Let's go to Control-F, hello from Python, and we will do Control-C. Let's see that, what happens. So Control-F. Control-F does this, right? It's our find, right? And let's do it. Maybe then we can cancel or enter, for example, right now. So let's run it. Control Enter. It goes hello from Python. Notice how slowly it typed. It's typed interval again. If you want to, so note again. So interval between key presses right now. So makes for more human-like typing. Again, maybe you don't care about human-like typing. I like to see actually it look like a somewhat human. Of course, you could also do things like random, a slight, maybe it's not completely human because it's extremely specific and deterministic and, you know, 100 milliseconds. I mean, I'm sure you can type faster than that, right? What is 100 milliseconds? That's 10 characters per second. So wait, 600 characters per second, but that's a word. So about 120 words per second. Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, I'm sure there's some faster typers around. Okay, and of course we could do enter. We could search, for example, here right now, enter, and we don't find anything right now, right? So Control-C, of course, would we just cancel this, right? Okay, so so that's the basic of keyboard input, and then there are also screenshots. We can take a screenshot of our whatever we are doing. So we already have PyAutoGUI imported. So often we want to, yeah. So, and we will see a little bit later on towards the end of this lecture also, later on we'll see how we can locate things. But for now we basically do screenshots. Again, maybe you want to see where you are at the moment. So, very similar how we worked with in Selenium also. We basically take a screenshot or file, you know, and name it. You can name it whatever you want. You can name it whatever you want right now. Okay, let's take a look. And we see screen. And if I click on this, you see this is actually my screen. Yeah, pretty nice. So you see exactly what I was doing at this moment. All right. So that's pretty powerful. Now let's look at slightly more practical example, and we want to automate Notepad. We all know and love and hate Notepad, of course, the easiest to use text editor, and we, for now, let's just do something very simple to enter some text. So for now, let's open up Notepad, the built in and automate typing some text in. So for macOS, yeah, of course, you should replace, because of course I don't think Notepad is now, because those are standard on those products. Of course, Gedit actually might not be standard. This is actually, I think, Ubuntu or KKD based one. So again, obviously you can, of course, yeah. So that's the basic idea. So we are going to go to open Notepad and write something there. So we are going to use, this is standard library, subprocess. So subprocess actually lets you control, run a actual, your operating system command right now. So, and you can also obtain the codes, return codes from these applications actually. So run a command, pretty much anything you could run from shell, but there are differences. No, it's not quite the same as running from a shell from terminal. But quite powerful, useful, very useful. Subprocess is very useful. Subprocess is very useful in automation. Yeah. So again, we don't need time. Why do we need time? We already imported it. So again, I'm commenting out. You would again uncomment this if you need time. So sleep. So again, crucial idea. We use delays to wait for problems to open. So obviously, if you have I don't know, at the moment your computer decides to do a virus check or something, I guess being a virus would be an important point later on, but it might take a longer or shorter, but of course 2 seconds should be enough to open Notepad on a modern computer. If it's longer, if you are on a very slow computer, then of course, then adjust this delay. Maybe 5 seconds, I don't know, 10 seconds, possible right now, but 2 seconds should be okay on this normal computer. So maybe faster. But the thing is, many years of doing this type of automation, different levels, it's better not to rush things actually. Trying to squeeze a last moment second is not so crucial when doing these type of tasks. Because why? Because you are letting the script is doing all the work. You don't have to be there. Well, hopefully you don't have to be. It's more important to have it robust and not break than being as efficient, as fast as possible at this stage right now. So and you type the text. So idea is, again, we're going to open application. We start application. Yeah, and we're going to write some text. Let's take, again, pretty quickly, like much quicker than, well, twice as fast as before. 50 milliseconds, so 20 characters. So this should take pretty quickly. And we can make it also slowly as well, right? So let's take a look. So I'm going to run it. And it starts open and very quickly. That's pretty quick, right? Nice. So you can write a whole letter, whole novel like this, of course, using Python. So kind of fun again, but of course the idea is not to use just Notepad. Of course it is generally better to use it between different applications. That would be the big idea right now. Okay, so I'm gonna close for now. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna save it, but of course you could save it as well. So now similarly, if for some reason, I don't know, this would be one of those cases where you probably don't want to deal, you have Selenium is much better for a web browser, but maybe you are doing it with conjunction with some other tasks and you don't have a Selenium ready for some reason, or maybe also, like I said, it's enough for you to use just this PyAutoGUI. So there are some, at this moment, you will start running into some problems, and I will tell you the most common problems you will encounter. One of the problems is that Notepad, since it's an operating system application, it already has a pass. And here, if I do Windows R, which is also available through PyAutoGUI, right now, if I type Chrome, it will open, right? I type open right now, and it opens right now. So you might be saying, why doesn't this work? Because it doesn't work quite the pass in the subprocess. It does not work. It works differently, basically. That's a short answer right now. We don't need a long answer at the moment. What's the solution? Easiest is to actually know where your application is installed right now. Yeah, of course, if you are in Windows, you will be in program files. Again, I'll do Windows E. You will see here in C drive, it's usually in C drive, but it doesn't have to be, right? So program files and program files, this is 64-bit, this is 32-bit legacy. So we'll go to the new right now, and I'll show you. So of course you could find it here right now. You could search using Python as well. So and we go, where's my Google? Yeah, Google, because and I only have Chrome, and I should have my application there, my Chrome. So that's my application right now, on updated on. That's exactly what we are opening. So of course what I could do is here, I think I could do this I'm doing right click, copy properties. I think I could do properties or copy or properties, actually properties, and I could find details, I believe. No, but general, I could find exactly. You can see it here, of course. That's where I can just copy it from here, but there's some other ways of doing it. So that's what we are opening. Of course, install. Replaces your any. So adjust as needed for your computer, for your system, right? And then it does open up this pip open, and it runs this command. And of course, again, it doesn't have to be actually a full application. It will run anything. Again, the pay open, press open will run anything. And what are we gonna do here? We're gonna run it. We're gonna sleep 5 seconds. Again, maybe a little bit too how should I say, maybe pessimistic a little bit, because I think it'll be faster, but still, and then I go Control L, and I'll go to python.org. So let's see, to make things, now I'm going to close everything. Since I'm not to show you, I'm going to close this already. I did this before, and also my repository, right? Remember, we have a repository here. I'll close this for this course. I'll close this. So no Chrome whatsoever right now. There's no Chrome right now. So let's try this. It might be, again, if the Chrome is already open, of course, it might be quicker, caching, right? So let's run this, see if it actually works. If not, we will adjust it. So let's take a look, taking a while. Maybe it will work. Yeah, it worked. And it actually did work perfectly. So we got it in time. Again, my computer, this particular computer is not the fastest. It's about 6-7 years old, but still works fine for this type of task. So, and again, of course, we can start doing things. So, again, we could move the mouse, we could type commands. You see what in this particular case, we did hotkey Control L, and we wrote, on here we wrote immediately without interval. We could have added interval. Yeah. If you wanted to pretend to be a human in this case, right? Okay, so that's one of the big ideas right now. So, but again, in general, of course, just for just for Chrome, you would be better served with Selenium right now. Again, yeah. So it will be better. So this is better if you're doing something else. Again, we'll get to that part. So now you say, okay, we have Notepad, we have Chrome, but what about Excel? Can we do something with Excel? Sure. Again, if you're doing something you want to move around, maybe you can. You can use PyAutoGUI for this if you want. And so this is something you can do this. So it's very similar. So of course, again, you will need to find which office, which Excel you have. Where is your office, right? So this is very typical on the machines. Office 16, I believe. Again, I have the official subscription. So from university. So let's go here again. So C, program files. on I believe Microsoft. Yeah, Office 16. Do I have? No, I have Office first. Office. You see, I have different versions on Office 16. They have different naming on. Wait, Office 16? No, root. Sorry. You see, that's how I root. And again, it's not so obvious. So how would you do this? Well, you could use Python. You could just search, for Excel here. How you would find you do Excel. Excel. And it's actually, what was the last part here? Office 16. Root Office 16, root, Office 16, and now we get to Excel, hopefully here. Yeah, there's some APIs, by the way, yeah, of course, and now we hopefully get to Excel. There should be Word and other things, and there's our friend Excel right now. And there's Word probably also here somewhere, right? I believe. Microsoft Access, Microsoft, I believe, Publisher or PowerPoint, on some other things as well. Word, where's Word? Just to show you. And again, WinWord, I believe. Yeah. Okay. So that's how you'd find it. Of course, you have to do some research for your particular application, how to find it. Again, if you're not sure right now, if you are not sure where your Excel exe is, you could find the path with following mini recipe, right? I'll give you a little link. Yeah, I'll maybe add this extra. Well, let's run this first, and then we'll discuss this extra addition. So, Excel pass. On subprocess, I don't have Excel open, so let's run it. And I'll write a cell, so sleep 6 seconds. We'll be more conservative. Open, it's opening. 6 seconds, 4 seconds, 5. Will we make it? Will we make it? Will we make it? And we made it. We made it. UI automation. I don't think we made it quite. Excel UI. So let's do 8 seconds next time. Right now, maybe this will work better. I'll close this. Yeah, I don't save. Right now, again, I'll run this again. And again, maybe the caching will improve things. No, actually Python, I think actually enter here PyAutoGUI. Maybe you might need to adjust even more. You might need to adjust this even more. Yeah, okay. So now we type something in Excel. Now, of course, we type something in Excel. So now type something. Okay, right. So let me add one more cell to you guys. So if you are not sure where something is on your computer, you can use path rglob to look for it. Let's do so. So import, right? We already have it, and yeah. So basically, for path and path rglob, so it will print this recipe. This recipe would print all, on C drive, for example. Could take a while, say 20-30 minutes, if you have a very large drive right now. So I'm not gonna run it. So, but just something to keep in mind right now. And then, of course, then you would use that path. Then you could just copy that path. So basically, I'm showing you how to do this part here. Search, searching some folder. So the path into above cell. Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna comment this out. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, so we saw the basic idea. We basically type something. We have Control C, Control V. You might be saying, okay, can we actually read something? Yes, we can also, since we have shortcuts, Control A, select R, for example, which is very commonly used. With Control C, of course, you can copy things along right now. So the thing is, some assumptions right now. So let's use some focus. So let's see, we have Excel open already right now. Yeah. So we must, if you have Excel already open, you have to explicitly bring the Excel window to the foreground. Because why? Because GUI, remember this is very general case. We are just writing some script. There's no knowledge of where we are. Well, we are inside some Jupyter notebook, maybe it's our script, but it doesn't know how do we get to Excel. The thing is, there's some real limitations to today's approach. Why? Because Windows and other operating systems, well, this type of application is extremely powerful, and there are certain limitations that the operating systems put on these type of applications, because they can lead to viruses. For example, if you have somebody writing this type of script, of course, has maybe too much control. So operating system developers, such as Microsoft, they put in certain safeguards basically right now. So but what we can do is actually right now, with PyAutoGUI at least, we don't have a reliable, meaning 100% sure way of getting Excel. Like I would like to get here right now. I have okay, but the good news is, of course, we have Alt Tab right now. So Alt Tab works. If you have a certain order of applications, the PyAutoGUI will work fine. But you have to verify first that before you start the script, that you actually do have this order. So again, keyboard and mouse events will go to the active window. Only one window is in focus. I mean, that's the core idea. So focus. So one of the common failure modes in this type of application is not getting the right focus. And again, notebook of course likes focus here, but we don't, right? So if you don't change explicitly your focus, your script will break. So that's a rule basically. Yeah. So how we switch? We will use Alt Tab for now, just like a human being. Power users, or intermediate users, we use Alt Tab all the time, of course, right now. So again, there's some core assumptions here. Excel has to be open right now, and this is the one we used before just now. Obviously, when you see here, I have a bunch of tabs open, but the next one is Excel, and that should work. So simple, and also it should work also on Mac. I have not tested on Mac, but I'm sure it should work. And again, it is quite fragile for teaching purposes, but again, it will show you the core idea of what this general automation assumes. So I'll open recently, no other window steals. So yes, there are, if you are dealing with Excel data, reading, analyzing, doing something using OpenPyXL or Pandas like we saw in previous, just pure Excel, that would be highly preferable. You don't even go to the Excel at all. You just read the files. And of course, that would be better. That would be my approach as well in general. But I'm showing you how it can be done. So brittle will show you why also, if you don't have this direct access to Excel files, this will be your last resort. But it's possible. So if you have a fail, your first question is not, did I make a mistake in the code, but did I have the wrong window? That's the most common in this type of applications. So let's take a look. So Paperclip, this is a library. I believe, yeah, clipboard contents. It comes, I believe, again, I believe it's installed by PyAutoGUI. I think it is installed as part of PyAuto dependencies, I believe, right now. I know I have it, so I did not install it explicitly. So this means it was PyAutoGUI installed it for me. Okay, so we'll prepare and we will switch Alt Tab. So notice how it's gonna work. We're gonna press Alt Tab just like a human being. Press Alt down, press Tab, and then press Alt up. And of course, we are so used to doing this by automatically as humans that we don't even think how what are the steps. But these are the actual steps. If you think about it, that's actually happens. So wait 3 seconds to, this is just of course, feel free to remove this one. Yeah, and this of course switch maybe could be a bit shorter or longer. Yeah. And we'll go to home, control home right now, sleep for 5 seconds, and we'll type something. And we'll copy cell. And what do I have there? Do I have anything there? I have UI automation. Okay, yeah. I'll read that and I will paste into my, clipboard. So this is creating a new variable in script. And we can print it, whatever. So we should be getting UI automation back because that's the contents of of this cell. All right, let's take a look. It should work. And yeah, we went there and we read it. Notice I did not do Alt Tab again, right? I'm stayed focused here, but I'll do it by manually, meaning I can just move windows, right? Let's take a look. Did I print it? Yes, UI automation. So in the background, the code continued to work. So that's kind of cool right now. So note, I could go Alt Tab again, but it is not required in this here. Yeah. So what we did is we went here. We can read date. Obviously, again, it's quite brittle right now. If you it's gonna break what if it's here, if it's like somewhere here right now. But if Excel is the most recent, so yeah. So you might be asking, okay, can I go if I'm not sure which Excel it is? Can I do something? Well, yes and no. You can. There are low-level libraries like such as PyWin32 for Windows, but again, you run into some real limitations of what Windows let you do. So you'll still need some human content. But okay, now let's do this. So let's extend this example to something that actually might be somewhat usable. So what we'll do is we'll extend our example to copy text from Notepad into Excel. So again, so basic simple Control R, Control C type of application. So first of all, we have some imports and look at now the assumptions. This is crucial for this example to work. Otherwise, it will not work. So we are here. It's our script. So we are currently, that's our focus. The next one should be Notepad. Do I have Notepad? I don't even have Notepad. So let's start it. Yeah. So Notepad or Alt Window R. Not like that. Sorry. Window R. Notepad. Right. And I have Notepad. So let's write something in. Test data 2025 or 26. Okay. Why not 26? Typo, but it's gonna use. So that's how about Excel? I have it here. Okay, so now the order is crucial. So let's look at this here. So Notepad should be next. It's not next. It should be here. So now Notepad is next, and after that it is book. So Excel. So this is correct order. So we are here. Next is Notepad, and after that is Excel. Everything else we don't care. So I go back here, and then let's double check again. Slight paranoia, but no, it's fine. And I go back again here. So Notepad has something selectable text, and Excel has a visible worksheet. So these are the core assumptions. They're nothing special. And I think with those assumptions, we can proceed to run our script. So let's run. So let's see again. So you do Alt Tab first, sleep a little bit, Control A, Control C, copy all text. Of course, we could copy less, of course. And then copy text, we paste into or copy in our buffer, in our paste buffer, and then we switch to Excel. So this is going to be Alt Tab, Tab, Alt, Alt Tab twice, release Alt, and then we go to the cell 2. So this is the hard part. This actually takes some time. Again, to go to specific cell, you might think actually doing arrows, and it is possible you have a longer existing cell, but our Excel cell is sheet. I mean, sheet is quite fresh, and these key presses won't work. So the solution is to use different approach. Use Control G. If you are a Power Excel user, you know Control G is your friend. You can go directly to a different cell right now. This will be, of course, good for Excel course. So, and we use that on write specific coordinates, C2, press Enter. We wait a little bit again, and then we paste whatever there. See, it's not going to be, it's pretty brittle process. And then we go back, and of course, then we want to see what the heck do we have there. So let's do Control C up back, and copy Excel value. What did we get? So we expect to get whatever I wrote to 226. And we go back to Jupyter and print it. Alt, Tab, 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 Alt. Okay. Seems complicated, right? I remember these basic actions we do every day. Well, once you break them down in step by steps, they're quite involved, actually, right? So let's run them. 3 seconds. Yep. We're going to read it. Control L, Control C. And now the hard part is, how are we gonna do? Yes, go to C2. We did work. It did work excellently. So perfectly in this case. Again, let's double check. So we have our data, which we got. It's still selected, by the way. And here we went Control G to cell C2, and we enter data. So yeah, so this process, yes, we have full control. But the part what makes this type of process brittle, again, is that if you don't get the right delay, or if you rush things, they're easy to break. And also the focus. Losing focus. If I had this Excel somewhere here, so like right now, if I run it right now, it's not gonna work. I mean, you can try, but it's not gonna work because you don't have the right window. So that's something to consider again. So we are moving towards end. So I think we'll be very close to finish. So we saw how we can interact. So this would be the glue application for automating things between different applications when you don't have anything better. Obviously, in the case of Excel file and Notepad, I could probably just read Excel in pandas, save as text, plain text. That would be my approach. Or if I have a text file, I would read text file as using regular Python, like our second or third lecture, and then save in Excel. Of course, that would be a better approach. But you can do it for applications. I'm showing you for applications which don't have any sort of format, anything. I mean, because PyAutoGUI is not going to care what application you're using, but the Octave is going to say, okay, you can move mouse wherever you want in your application. You can press whatever you want on any keys or any mouse keys. You can do it. And you can also take screenshots of your application. So yeah, so that's the basic idea. Yes, I do mention here there's material title-based switching would be better, but this is no longer cross-platform compatible because it requires specific Windows APIs, and it also still runs into this limitation that Windows puts on application developers, and you cannot have this mega unless you have system level access. Basically, your regular application does not have full access to all the other applications. Again, it's because of security trade-off. Again, this is a big topic, of course, but yeah. So it's possible to do this type of thing, but it can also, it's very brittle as well. So, and also it won't work with Windows and Linux. So there's some again. So, and also some applications are, again, the fragile, right? Not all applications are equal. Some applications are more protected. Right now, different privilege levels right now. So even you have correct API call, depending on security context, maybe also you have some limitations in your work computer, for example. So again, so that's why those would be advanced examples and they would be very specific. So there is a lot of variability. My aim in today's lecture was to have something very general right now. So again, desktop GUI automation relies on this Windows focus, timing, visual state, on even if you change your resolution or scaling, you might get your otherwise correct in automation might break. All right, so there's no 100% reliable focus network method right now. So some workarounds. So again, so this is not something to say, okay, Python bad or PyAutoGUI bad. No, it is the actual architect, what's the reality, how Windows works basically. So prefer application APIs. Use today's lecture as a last resort when you don't have anything else. You say, okay, I need some automation, I need to do some key entry, maybe read some files, maybe do some screenshot, but my applications are just completely some custom applications. They have no other access. Okay, I need to use this approach. So idea is we simulate a human user and we have our same limitations as a human. So we cooperate with the operating system, we don't fight it. Okay, so some things are internationally not automatable. Let's see. So let's look at one more example before we finish today, which is we can locate some things on a screen. So if you want to locate things, it's possible. And again, I've seen people who are forced to, some of my previous students, who had very old legacy applications and they really had no way to apply. You know, necessity is a mother of invention, right? And they had to actually use this approach, meaning they had some pictures of where they want to go, and PyAutoGUI offers this approach. So, and this is actually quite nice approach. So what we do is we're gonna go to we're gonna assume right now. So assumption, core assumption, Chrome is next tab. Yeah. So core, this is core assumption. Do we have it right now? Next tab. We don't, but let's go here. So I'm gonna go somewhere else. Let's go to RTULV, right? So not Python, right? So Python is gone, and now it's back. So Alt tab works. Alt tab works. So that's our key. So that's gonna be simulating. We'll go to Control L. If you know, it is a standard hotkey on most browsers for location, and we are gonna enter the address, which is here. Of course, you can enter any string. Could enter any string here, right? And of course, we're gonna press enter. Right now, press. Right now, keyboard keys. So press enter. And we're gonna wait to load, maybe 5 seconds, depends on your load. And then let's look at this logo here. We have this little logo I took earlier. Yeah, screenshot, and I cut it, cropped it. So that's my Python. So I want to find it on the page. So this is and again, there are some technical issues which I have solved for you. For example, you want to use maybe pass or something, but this particular library wants string in this case. So it is in our current directory, this logo. So we say image path is the actual file name. Searching for this image, that's just extra, not needed, of course. And location is this PyAutoGUI locate. Note the confidence. Note the confidence. Yeah. Without confidence, it will look for 100%. Yeah. So I do recommend. We installed OpenCV when we did this image in lecture 5. We did this in topic 5 on images, right? So you should have it. If it doesn't work, you can just get rid of this. So this would be Shift Alt arrow. Without confidence. No. Yeah. So I recommend could work with 0.9. So meaning searching for a needle in a haystack, looking for some smaller picture and bigger picture. Yes, it's a pretty well studied topic, but or different values or different or anything or different values. Experiment here. Good idea to experiment. So, and if we find it, we found it. If not found, right? And what's more, I added extra code to move to the center of the location of this picture, of this logo. So we'll move to here somewhere on our page. Let's see if this works. All right. So we know what we want to do. Well, let's do it. 3 seconds starting. And we're gonna type Python. Wait for it to load, and hopefully it will find the picture. Let's wait for it. Maybe it won't find it. Maybe no. It did find it Notice how nicely exactly centered this. And now, of course, I could click on it, of course, if I wanted to continue my script, to do something else. So this is how you could do pretty much anything, of course, but lots of steps involved, because everything has to be this type of control. So yeah. Everything is possible, but well, as far as doing something on the screen, but it requires this type of involved checking right now. And you can, like I said, people have made game playing bots using this. It's a very simple approach, but it is possible to do with it. Just very time consuming. Now, so see, it found the box exact location, and it navigated to this middle of this screen. So center location here. Yeah. So pretty nice. So really nice. So some takeaways. So add generous delays. Check like we just checked or visuals user state. Maybe find the pictures again. On log print to file. Log screenshots. If you fail, maybe accept something is not going to be completely working. All right. So again, so key capabilities we saw today. mouse control, move mouse anywhere, click anything. Drag and scroll also is possible, which we didn't check, but it's possible. And keyboard control, any keys, anything a human can do can be done by this PyAutoGUI. And we can take screenshots, locate images, and of course you get pixel colors too, by the way. So, and you can do some basic window management as well. But again, if you need something more powerful, you need to check whether your application actually already has a Python library. Maybe it does. That would be the preferable, like pandas for Excel, for reading Excel, for example, formats. Maybe you don't need the application itself right now. So most big programs have Python-specific libraries. So, but this is good for prototyping, get some glue automation. That's what I'm saying. So professional automation, you would use actual APIs if it's possible. So there's some good, I mentioned these references, PyAutoGUI, PyWinAuto for something more. These are the actual for deeper dive into using actual Windows Win32 APIs, which is of course technically much more challenging. So some ideas to practice this. Today's lecture is maybe have some more advanced Windows GUI automation, maybe experiment with this image recognition, which we just did, maybe some more screenshot capabilities, and see how screen handling happens, and basically see if you can solve something with this approach, maybe again between different applications, copying something like that, maybe moving your mouse around, you can do it. So after this lecture, we will still keep learning. We will learn about general file management, again specific APIs, how to move files, how to do file management, maybe also cover email. And we are moving towards a project. Our final lecture will be about combining all these skills together in one, maybe a project which involves a couple different approaches. So thank you everyone, and happy automating.